welcome in Uncle B, Blaine Fowler, to talk Big 12 football power rankings. We'll get to the West Coast Conference basketball power rankings in a bit too. But Blaine, let's just start with what Jeremy and I just finished up.
We're very excited about this game in 10 years.
Coastal Carolina on the schedule in 2033. We think that the game's actually going to happen. What's your reaction to Coastal returning the game 10 years after, or I guess 13 years after BYU took it on 3 days' notice?
Yeah, I don't care. It's just like, to me, there's got to be a philosophy in scheduling. And, I think this next year, throw out Arkansas and put another G5 in there, and that's probably the way to go.
You would be fine with no P5 in non-con.
I'm okay. I think you only take a P5. I mean, some people are saying you do one FCS, one middle-of-the-pack G5, and then one P5 that's traditionally in the middle of the pack in their league. I'm okay with that. The problem is in college football these days, you just don't know who the middle of the pack is anymore. And so you could say 8 years ago, hey, let's schedule Baylor, and then have them 2 years ago, and they're Big 12 conference champs. You could say, hey, TCU's kind of down if you're the SEC, and they play in the college football playoff last year. And so you schedule these games so far in advance that I'm okay if they do one FCS and two G5 every year.
Interesting. So you don't want to play Utah?
I said there are some exceptions to that.
Oh, just exceptional years.
So there's exceptions to that, and the exceptions are natural rivals. I would play Utah every opportunity we have. The game's important to the state when they can play it. It's good for both teams. Both teams are traditionally going to be good enough that it's not going to hurt you it's not going to kill you if you lose that game. Utah and BYU aren't going to be competing for college football playoff. Well, with the 12-team format, they would.
Utah's this close,
yeah,
right?
They have been in a Pac-12 that hasn't been great the last couple of years. I feel like USC's coming back, and then they're going to be out of the league, right? So it'll be interesting see how things shake out. So I say with exceptions, and that exception would be if you get Utah on the schedule, you take Utah. If there's a really interesting intersectional game that ESPN wants to set up or that Fox wants to set up as an early season, all of what Utah did with Florida in this home and home. Say BYU has a chance to do something with an SEC team in a kickoff classic type of a game. Those are when you take a P5. And some people are saying, why are you being a baby? Play one P5 every year.
You don't have to argue with me here.
I say you have to schedule yourself 2 wins for sure. And in most years, you want to schedule yourself 3 wins in the preseason because Big 12 is no joke. And for you to be bowl eligible every year, which is really what the goal is now when you move into a Power 5 conference, you got to be really careful with what you do. And those P5 games that you take, there has to be a good reason to play those P5 schools. I'd be okay if Arkansas wasn't on the schedule this year. I'd be fine with that.
Is this because it's new in the Big 12, or do you feel like in a couple of years you would prefer this? Because we've heard from Tom Hommel saying, okay, like Utah has not played us a couple of years, we will not play them. So I'm guessing that BYU plays Utah 6 out of every 10 years. That's sort of my vibe.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I recognize there's scheduling, and the league's going to say, hey, in 3 years we want you to play in whatever this sponsored big preseason.
Like a one-off?
Versus the Pac-12 thing. You're going to have those every so often that you're going to have to go play.
A kickoff classic
and then in those years, I mean, it may be hard to do this, but then you don't want to play Utah and USC.
Never play 2 P5 non-con.
Right, no, please no, right?
Utah's doing that this year, hosting Florida and then playing at Baylor.
Yeah, they're doing 2.
On top of a 9-game Pac-12 schedule.
They aren't going to make the playoff. That's just too many.
It's just too many good, because typically Utah's been really good. They've been smart about the way they've scheduled, where they've tried to but schedule some wins
Schedule
early.
Smart, yeah.
And you get going, schedule the bye at the right time, so you kind of get things going, you figure this team out, get into the meat of your schedule. I mean, for being the first year in the Big 12, I think BYU's really fortunate with how this schedule laid out, because I think they get the best teams after they know who they are and after they've had a bye week to regroup. And I think they get some wins early. They're going to come out of the gate and be 2-1, maybe 3-1 coming out of the gate, and have some momentum, know who they are, have established some depth. For BYU, the problem is they're playing all these teams, bam, 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 7 weeks, 8 weeks, no bye. The backups aren't getting a chance to play at all. They don't play a minute from game one, right? And then all of a sudden you start to have injuries because you've played your starters for 7 or 8 straight games. And it's like, hey, we got to put 6 backups in on the defense. Oh, wait, they haven't even played. Can they even play?
Now we're in trouble.
And now they haven't played for 8 weeks. And so you're better off getting those guys in games early, getting some reps, knowing who they are. Maybe the guy you thought was third is now second. Now you have a few injuries down the stretch. You're like, yeah, we know who these guys are, and they've played some games. This schedule actually lines up much better. And you know, BYU had no hand in it. I think the schedule lines up great for BYU for the first year, with the exception of I wouldn't have had Arkansas.
BYU is picked to finish, according to Athlon Sports, in a way too early Big 12 football power rankings poll.
It's too late. I wanted it weeks ago, Spence.
Number 12. Number 12 out of 14 teams. And Blaine, when I first saw it, I was like, 12th? But then I thought about it some more, and I'm like, it's February. Also, I kind of love that BYU has low expectations going into year one of the Big 12 at number 12. I'd probably put him number 10-ish. What do you think? Where would you put BYU in year one in the initial Big 12 football power rankings?
I would have them somewhere in the middle-ish, 6 or 7 probably.
6 or 7?
Yeah, because I think we did a little exercise, Dave Nixon and Dave McCann and I, where we went through every single game, and we made the under over 7. So, meaning, you know, 6 is very possible. 8 is, we're just saying the under over. Like, that's not out of reach. 7's not out of reach. And I think they'll do well with their preseason schedule. I actually like them at Arkansas. I'm not penciling that in as a win, but I'm putting that as a 50-50 game on the road against Arkansas, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I think their schedule gets really tough in November, and that's okay. I may not even have them winning a game in November. But I still think they can get to 6 or 7 this year. It's hard. When you look at what Athlon did, hey, they're being, I don't know, intellectually honest with themselves. The people they're putting together have been watching the Big 12. They don't know that much about how these new teams are going to fit in. And it's no coincidence that Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston are right down at the bottom, outside of West Virginia, that they know all they need to know about. They've been terrible.
Yes.
Well, you said that in the last segment, right?
Yes,
And they know that
bad last
BYU is
couple
losing Jaron Hall and Puka Nacua.
Right. And they don't, does Keaton Slovis fit in? Is he really the answer?
We don't know either, which is kind of fun.
What about Aiden at running back coming from UNLV? Does he make the step? Though he's a 1,000-yard rusher, but that's G5. Is he really a P5 running back? There's a lot of questions that are so is it unfair that they have him that low? It's probably not unfair. I think they're being consistent in the way they're looking at things. Interestingly, they have Central Florida up in number 7 in this poll. And I think they've had 2 really good recruiting classes and a lot of guys coming back, including their quarterback. So they're giving them a little leeway. But here's what you've got to remember. When you do polls this early, you're taking a shot in the dark, right? We would be too. Like, we're not any smarter than they are at this point. So last year they had Baylor, because they were defending champs. Baylor was number 1 in Athlon's this time of year, right before spring ball.
Yes, they go 6 and 7.
Right, they end up number 6. They had Oklahoma's number 2. Oklahoma finished 8. Oklahoma State, they finished 5th. Texas 4th. That's the only one they got close because Texas was 3rd. But do you know where they had TCU and Kansas State?
Bottom.
Best teams. They had TCU at number 7. They finished 1. They had Kansas State at number 5. They finished 2. So
this is the part I love, Blaine, that we don't know.
Right.
But we got a daily show. We got to talk about it. You got to break down stuff on AFR.
And it's fun to project and to do all that. In the end, I'll say this about the Big 12. A few years ago, I would say Oklahoma has overwhelmingly got so much more talent than everybody in that league, and they typically perform well. They've been in the college football playoff a few times. Like, you can't beat that team. There's no way you're beating that team. Texas, in recent years, we've been going, and you mentioned it, Spencer, that why do they not win with all this talent? Of course, that talent's all based on stars coming out of high school, right?
Yes.
And I think Texas gets the benefit of the doubt. If you're good in Texas, you're a 5-star. If you're good in Colorado, you're a 3-star, right? So we know that the star system's a little bit of nonsense, but why aren't they better? So when BYU's beaten Texas, so don't think of Texas that way, right? But we've been thinking of Oklahoma. Outside of Oklahoma, I don't look at that league and go, hey, on a year-to-year basis, there's nobody that BYU can compete with in that league. Like last year, TCU was really good. They lose some stars.
Yeah.
Some
And
great
it was a magical
players.
season.
Right.
They should
They
lose
lose
some
some
people.
great
Yeah.
players, you know. So is TCU going to be in the college football playoff again this year? Probably not.
No way.
You know. And Baylor, we discounted the talent that they lost. They lost an NFL running back and their quarterback that played most of the year transferred. Just two guys, but they also lost the back end of that phenomenal defense, right? But because they were good the year before, Baylor looked like they were going to be number one. They end up in the middle of the pack. And so when I look at next year's schedule, there's nobody on that schedule, including Oklahoma now, that I don't say, hey, if BYU stays relatively healthy, because depth is still an issue for them, that's something they've got to do now. I'm not saying they can't win any game on the schedule.
Yeah, every game has a winnable facet.
Right.
And losable. Like it's
Right.
both,
Yes.
right?
That's
swings
the
both
big
ways.
thing.
Which is sort of fun. We just don't know what playing this many P5s in a row in a league is going to be like. And then the next couple of years, like we've done in basketball, we will get used to these programs. Style
Right.
of play, personnel, coaching, traditions. Like I cannot wait to move into this new neighborhood. Like it's going to be fun.
And when BYU was in the Mountain West for a lot of years, and remember, the Mountain West before it broke up got good with TCU and Utah and BYU, who were all good, and San Diego State was on the rise, right? And it was really hard. It gets harder when you play in a league. Here's the advantage for Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, and BYU next year. They're not playing against teams that they played against every year for the last 8 years. When WCC in basketball, what we've discovered is, these teams are harder to beat now. Not just Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but guess what? BYU's harder. Like there's more balance when you play in a league because teams play you every year. They know what style you play with. They know your out of bounds plays. They know like all of these things. So you have to be that much better, and everything kind of clusters. I look at the WCC now in basketball, and 3 through 7, like who's the best team? And I think that this first year in the Big 12 in football, especially, these 4 new teams are unknowns. You have an advantage. These teams don't scheme perfectly against you. You can surprise them with some things. And so I think BYU may win a couple of games that nobody expects them to win, and they may lose a couple where we're going, why in the world would they ever lose to West Virginia, right? I'm not saying they're going to lose to West Virginia.
But losing to West Virginia is way more tolerable than losing to Pepperdine in men's basketball.
100% agree.
Like the P5 thing, honestly, will be like, oh, okay, that's a bummer, but guess what? Way over there, Power 5, they threw for 350, whatever. We will just tolerate that in a way that we have not in the WCC because we have a lot of pride here.
For sure. All right, Blaine, we got a break, but before we go, because we talked about it and I promised the fans that they would hear about it, BYU right now in a tie for 3rd in the West Coast Conference. Are they going to finish in a tie for 3rd or in a top 4 seed by the time they get to Vegas?
Okay, so here's my projection. I think it's going to be LMU, Santa Clara, and BYU are going to jockey for 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Santa Clara has the most favorable schedule.
Yep.
I think BYU is going to beat Santa Clara here. But I think that may be the only loss Santa Clara has between now and the end of the year. And so Santa Clara probably gets the 3 seed. However, I think BYU, they got to play Gonzaga and St. Mary's. So let's just say those are both losses. And again, it's not out of the question that BYU could steal one. They were really close at home. And BYU plays good enough defense that they can be in any game. It's just, can they shoot lights out like they have the last 2 games or not, right? So let's say BYU loses 2. I think LMU has a rougher road. I think LMU loses 3.
Yep.
And so I think what ends up happening is you go Santa Clara 3, BYU 4, LMU 5, and then San Francisco is going to play a role in this, but they're just too inconsistent. San Francisco's scary because with Shabazz in that group, they can shoot lights out, and they could come in here and possibly give BYU fits. But I think BYU gets them at home. So I think because of who they play, that's how I would project it out. Now, like I'm just like anybody else. Like anything can happen in this league because, as I've said, 3 through 7, anybody can beat anybody, right? St. Mary's is clearly the best team in the league. Gonzaga's not unbeatable. Would I be surprised if BYU went up and took one in Gonzaga? I wouldn't be crazy surprised.
I'm surprised every time.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
So-
like when it happens, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I never expect BYU to win up there.
So I guess I shouldn't say this. Would I be surprised? Yeah. I would be surprised. Is it out of the question?
No.
Right.
It's not out of the question because Gonzaga isn't the same as they've been. They don't have a lottery pick on that team and 3 NBA guys, right?
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question. So based on the remaining schedule, if things play out, that's how I would project it, which is great because a month ago, I didn't think BYU was going to be in the first 4. I really think they should be in that first 4, and that's what you want. You don't want to play till Saturday.
Uncle B,
Amen.
Blaine Fowler, the dual threat analyst, delivering football and basketball. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good to see you
And great
guys.
to have you in studio.
It's nice. And what is this really called the Cougar Council Room?
That's what I
That's
called
what
it.
Spencer's called
That's
it.
what
Yeah.
I called
It
it.
seems like you've done a lot of talking people off the ledge right here. So I think it's the Cougar psychology.
The comfort room?
Yeah, it's the comfort room. Yeah. The council. Council is too generic. This is where people are like
Receive
people.
comfort?
Is it council with an S or a C? You know, we'll figure that out.
It's people. Everything's okay. That's what you guys do here.
Thanks for hanging out,
Unfortunately, we've
Blaine.
talked too much about that. Yeah.